Now, just quickly, again, I believe that we have this rising wedge. We're now going to get this 5-leg push down to complete intermediate wave 5. I have this marked as primary wave 1, primary wave 2 in blue, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 intermediate waves done. Now intermediate wave 5 to complete primary wave 3, and then I think you'll bounce surrounding the holidays and getting primary wave 4, and then one more big dump into January when everybody comes back to from the holiday. Pring parameters gone slightly positive, and now tipping lower. This is going to roll over just like it did back over here when we had the drop in the final exit point. It's been consistently in the negative region. And again, you have divergences on the MACD and on the RSI. And I think you're going to get a massive bullish divergence on Pring parameter that's going to come down here. We're going to go down and likely take out 74,000 or test 74,000, probably take it out to 71, 72,000 or something like that. Bitcoin down over 2% here on the Friday session. Again, I told you to be looking for a post-Fed sell-off. That's what's happened in the past. Well, I predicted a short-term bottom ahead of Thanksgiving week, which I was correct. And I predicted a rally for the Thanksgiving week and told you that might go into the Fed meeting. Told you we were going to go up to the low to mid 90,000 level, possibly to the high 90,000 level, but not to exceed 98,900. Oh, gee, what's happening? We got the bottom. We got the rally. Now we're getting the sell-off. I continue to nail it. You know, I predicted that we were going to have this rally. Nothing, I told you, there's nothing goes straight down. You're going to have bounces along the way. Like I predicted these previous rallies with my signals. But it cracks me up. You know, I told you we're going to get a bottom. I predicted a bottom, we got it. And then I told you we're going to get a rally, and we got it. And then I get all these moon boys and people in the herd contact me. Yeah, we're rallying. Ha, ha, ha. Told you. Hello? What have I been predicting? They think that just because I'm predicting a 40 to 50% drop and that 80,000 is going to be taken out, and we're going to move down to 63,000 to 74,000. Hear the part about, hey, we're going to bottom. We're going to get this rally surrounding Thanksgiving and probably towards the low to mid 90,000 area, which I was absolutely 100 correct, just as I was correct at the top, calling the top and predicting this Bitcoin crash. So far, 36%. It's not over. Now, I know the experts are saying it's over, and I know the moon boys are saying it's over, and 80,000 is the bottom, and here we go. Just remember, these are the same people that never saw the top. They called the top the fake out. They called it a breakout. We slammed into major resistance in the weekly time frame. Never saw the sell-off coming. Never saw the largest liquidation in history. I told you this was going to happen. I told you we were going to get more liquidations bigger than this because we were going lower. And I told you that because there was the largest liquidation in crypto history, you know, everybody was so bullish. And you have these people saying, oh, no, we couldn't have topped. Everybody's bullish. Then why did we have the largest liquidation in history? I don't know what planet these people are from that are telling us that nobody's bullish, because that's all I see all over the internet for the most part. I got some Johnny-come-latelys. These Johnny-come-latelys, you know, after we dropped 36%, oh, okay, Bitcoin's topped. Again, these people are very, very late to the party that are just now coming around. My signals called a top back at the top and predicted all of this correctly. But that's because I have good indicators. Watch the video all the way through and you will see those indicators. Continue to nail it. Now right here, I went up to the trend line. And what happened? We stalled. Again, we rallied right into the trend line, and I told you we were going to sell off with the Fed. Oh, what's happening with the Fed? They made a commitment to buy short-term bonds. This is not QE. QE is when they start buying the long-term treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. This is because they're trying to stave off a banking crisis. They ended quantitative tightening, and they're having problems, just like they had back in 2019, and they did this back then. Paul said back then, this is not QE. He's correct. He's saying right now, this is not QE. That is correct. You try to tell that to the experts and to the moon boys, and I mean, they don't understand it, but the Fed is doing this. They're intervening in the banking system. That is a huge red flag. Again, recently, previous weeks, they did the largest injection into the banking system since and injecting billions, the largest injection since the pandemic. We're about to have a banking crisis. The reserves are low, and that's why the Fed is doing this, or trying to inject liquidity because the banks are in trouble. We're about to have a banking crisis, and the Moon Boys, oh, QE is starting, here we go, and they don't get it. It's absolutely incredible. But again, I've explained this to you. This is not QE. This is telling us, hey, we're in trouble, and we're about to have a serious banking crisis. These are reserve management purchases, the RMPs. This is not QE. And again, if you want to read about this, I explain it. I explain why the Fed is doing this. All you got to do is go on to X, and I'm under King of the Charts. King of the Charts with the word of, having a zero, having a zero in place of the O. King of the Charts on X. And you could read all about this all over the internet. Oh, here we go. We're gonna see coin at new highs. That's what the self-proclaimed world's highest IQ holder is saying. Bitcoin's going to be at highs by month and above 100,000 by next week. And Bitcoin is reversing now. Tom Lee that said, oh, the bottom was in at 80,000. He said that a bottom was going to happen. How's that 200 and 250,000 Bitcoin target by the end of the year working out? Bitcoin was supposed to increase by 2 trillion in market cap. It has declined by nearly $1 trillion. The experts, the Moon Boys, they all got it wrong. The indicators, my mathematically based indicators, oh, gee, they got it right. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like the indicators, please let me know that by supporting the channel. I don't have any sponsors or turn those offers down. Just a direct relationship with you. So I just ask that you do what you can to help out. If you could step up to the plate and help out, I would really, really appreciate it. Most YouTube channels have sponsors and sell you stuff and send you to exchanges that want to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out, want to sell you, send you to shady websites to sell you stuff. I don't want to do that. I just ask that you partner with me and do what you can to help out and support the channel today. These are the signals that I use to make my decisions with Bitcoin. And I don't know about you, but they help me. And if they help you, please consider partnering with me and supporting the channel today. Watch the video all the way through. Towards the end of the video, I'll go through all my different swing trend signals. I think you'll enjoy it. Again, those that bought into the hype and the hopium, well, if you're holding for each Bitcoin they hold, they've lost 36% from the high to the low, and we're going to go take out 80,000. This is just nothing more than a counter trend to fool more of the perma bulls who are easily duped. Had you followed my signals, called a top with resistance and my mathematically based indicators, person would have protected themselves by getting out, as I did, and getting out near the highs. I've been saying this all the way down. Bitcoin's topped, and we're going to drop 40 to 50%. And not only would a person have protected themselves, but if they went the other way, as I did, and played the short side, caught most of this move, this 36% drop down, which is not over. I'm a trader. Again, this, I told you, again, I'm still short. This is nothing to me. This is never catch a falling knife. That's what this is to me. Again, this is not the bottom. I don't even have a bullish divergence yet. We're either going to try to bottom around 74,000 over here, or more than likely you're going to drop down, and then you're going to rally surrounding the holidays, and then in January you're going to get another drop. And then I'm going to be looking, and I think it's going to be closer to 50%, maybe over 50%. Down to the 74,000 level is 41% drop. That's why I've been predicting a 41 to 50% drop. But my strategy is simple. Again, continue to remain short, be looking for an opportunity to close my swing trades for my short positions on Bitcoin down here somewhere, and then see evidence of a bottom, maybe a little bit higher if we try to bottom closer to 74,000, just under it, 71, 72,000, something like that. Looking for evidence. It's likely you're going to form a divergence here, get a counter trend, and maybe form a triple divergence. But again, 40 to 50% drop. But this is the area that I'm looking to close out my short positions and try to flip it and go long, and I'll write it back up because I think you'll get a massive bear market rally, as I've talked about at great length in detail. Then there's going to be another shorting opportunity as we rally back up, probably into the 90,000 level again, maybe above 100,000. Certainly possible. Bear market rallies are pretty powerful. And then the bottom is going to fall out of Bitcoin. And again, Bitcoin, the bottom isn't here at 80,000. The bottom's not down here. This is going to be a short-term local bottom. We get to the 63 to 74,000 area down here, 40 to 50% drop. Bitcoin, if it moves into a bear market, well, the bear markets for Bitcoin are near 80 to 90%, forming a massive head and shoulders pattern. If we go lower here, this is the massive head and shoulders, got a smaller one up here. This massive head and shoulders plays out as I expect it's going to, then Bitcoin's going to go at least 22,000. If we go lower than 74,000 right here, then it's going to go even lower. That would be an 80% drop on Bitcoin. Is 25,000. So again, the head and shoulders is measuring down beyond 25, beyond an 80% drop. That's impossible. That's a bunch of fun. Yeah, right. Tell me about it. As I called the top and predicted this, got it right. We've confirmed a bear market in the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame. You're going to sit here and tell me, no, Bitcoin doesn't have bear markets anymore. Bitcoin can't do that. Again, these people are so far gone, so out of touch with reality. It is incredible. They're going to do what they, in the last bear market, when I called the top back in 2021, they were saying the same stuff to me. And again, the herd, a lot of the herd, most of them rode it all the way down. Most of the Moo Boys rode it all the way down because they're a bunch of perma bulls. I'm a trader. I go long, I go short on Bitcoin. I don't care which way it goes. I can make money in either direction. I'm not interested in a perma bull or a perma bear. I'm interested in making money with Bitcoin and trading the swing move with Bitcoin, which I think the swing move will end somewhere down here. Now, I told you we were going to sell off with the Fed. Again, that's what we've done the last 4 Fed meetings, which I've talked about right here. And again, you could see that with the June meeting. We sold off nearly 8%, 6% with the July meeting. Back over here in September when they started cutting, almost 7.89% and almost 8%. And then over here, that gave us the left shoulder, the right shoulder right here, dropped 29%. And we're being told how bullish the rate cuts are. Oh, they're so bullish as Bitcoin falls. We just got another one that I haven't marked here, but again, you're likely going to have these next 2 legs down in December and January. Before Bitcoin puts in a tradable bottom. As I'm making the video, Bitcoin's down 2.68%. Our bear flag has evolved into a rising wedge. And let's just look at Ethereum real fast and check in on Ethereum. It was down over 4% when I was looking at it shortly, just a little bit ago. Oh, it's even worse. It's even worse. We're down 5.25% now. And again, you got Tom Lee and you got all the experts out there telling us, oh no, Ethereum's bottomed, and yet it's come right up to a parallel trend line, just beyond this trend line, but a parallel to the low here, to the low here. These lows over here, you got a nice looking channel as well. Again, if Ethereum does what Bitcoin's going to do, again, it could go down to the April low. Bitcoin will likely take out the April 7th low. Again, oftentimes they diverge, and sometimes Ethereum will top or bottom before Bitcoin. Here they did it simultaneously in April, but over here, Ethereum, it peaked already in late 2024 in December, and Bitcoin moved to new high in January. Ethereum got a lower high. Over here, Ethereum peaked in the summer, and it made a series of lower highs by October, and we had moving to a new high. Ethereum got a lower high. It had already peaked and already formed divergences. So again, could Ethereum bottom out before Bitcoin? Possibly. Sometimes they do it together, and again, maybe Bitcoin takes out the April low, but Ethereum doesn't, and they diverge in that way, in that Bitcoin moved to a new low, but Ethereum did not, and that could give us the big counter trend bear market rally. We'll see how this unfolds, and do they bottom together and diverge, or does Ethereum try to bottom ahead of Bitcoin? I've talked about this. No bullish diversions here. You're likely going to see Ethereum roll over and collapse along with Bitcoin, forming these divergences on the MACD. And let me just bring up the RSI here so you can see that on Ethereum. Again, there is no bullish diversions. Again, we pulled up above the 50 level. Bitcoin moved back up to the 50 level in the RSI. And again, you're likely going to see a divergence develop here as we get this next drop And then probably around Christmas and New Year's, over the holidays, you're probably going to see a counter-trend rally and then another drop in January. But again, this is not the bottom right here for Ethereum, and it's going lower, in my opinion. We're seeing the stochastic roll over here. And again, all the experts telling us, oh, no, the bottom's in on Ethereum. And, oh, Tom Lee's buying, so, oh, it's got to be buy. Well, he's a perma bull, and he's been buying, all the way down, calling everything a bottom. Again, these are the people that told us the sell-off was never going to happen. We're in the negative region on the MACD, and it's likely going to roll over here at the center line. Again, when you had that happen over here, the MACD was pegged in the negative region, and what happened is Ethereum had a sharp drop in this falling price channel until it broke out of it. Then the MACD moved back into the positive region. Now we're back into the negative region. We had a pull up here for the lower high with the divergence with Bitcoin in positive territory. But other than that, we've been in the negative region on the MACD, and the price oscillator actually does a better job than the MACD, as I've talked about so much. But again, here we've had this decline. And again, the sell-off is not over. The bottom is not in. Again, the experts were clueless to the top. They were clueless to the sell-off, and now telling us, oh, the bottom's in. Everybody's panicking, but I've called the bottom. And that's what one guy was saying. These people are going to be scrambling, making excuses, trying to do damage control when we get the next leg down, because they're going to be wrong again. They keep buying the dip, telling everybody, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip that keeps on dipping. Buy the dip that creates a bottom, not the dip that keeps on dipping. So watch for these divergences, but Ethereum's going lower with Bitcoin. Markets now starting to play catch. Ethereum is doing exactly what Bitcoin is doing. It's getting back-to-back reversal signals right here, just like suggesting the counter trend is now done. We had a topping tail the day of the Fed. We turned down, and then now we're seeing the bars flip back to bearish, and we're seeing another bearish signal here. Oftentimes you will get back-to-back signals, just like we got a bearish signal when this downtrend started, and some of these other minor signals along the way. Just like we got the bearish signal back over here when this sell-off started, and just like we got the bearish signal back right after the top and just before the peak in the top that formed the divergence on Ethereum. So again, this is not the bottom for Ethereum. It might bottom before Bitcoin does, or diverge with Bitcoin. So often does. Ethereum's going lower, and I'm getting the same signals I'm getting on Ethereum with Bitcoin. By the way, I'm getting a signal. These signals won't be final until the close on Ethereum and Bitcoin and the S&P, but again, I'm getting another bearish signal on the S&P, suggesting the S&P is now going to start playing catch up to Bitcoin. But again, told you we were going to get a rally surrounding the holidays. So I'll be watching. Do we get reversal signals by the end of the session? I'm getting it on a few indicators, just like we got the lower high over here, just like right after the top right over here in late October, October 29th, we got the same signal there. And it led to these sell-offs that ended up producing nearly a 6% drop for the S&P and nearly a 9% drop for the NASDAQ. Bitcoin's going to get its next leg down in December and then on into January, and the S&P and NASDAQ are going to play catch-up. AI bubble is bursting, and people are just oblivious to this. It's incredible. Bitcoin also here getting, like Ethereum, back-to-back reversal signals. Again, I told you this could happen. We got one back over here. Told you we were going to get the rally back up, but I told you it was going to be a counter-trend rally. Signal called the top right on the nose there. Got the counter-trend signal here. And again, lower highs, these minor signals back and forth. And again, major sell signal trying to form here with back-to-back major sell signals going to take out 80,000. Again, the final print will not be until the close, so it might change. I told you previously, earlier in the week, that again, you could see the signal set up either Thursday or Friday. I think it's going to set up here. I've marked some support and resistance levels here. Turning off of this level, we now have 94,000 as resistance. We're turning down. Again, we bounced here just above this support area here at 80,000. You're likely moving down to the low end of the support level at 74,000, and you'll try to bottom there and then rebound back up. I eventually think that Bitcoin now could bottom there. It could bottom at this, just under the 74,000 area. That could possibly create a bottom to give us the bear market. I don't think we get it until the Fed panics in January and they start doing emergency cuts. The Fed has now paused. Bitcoin's selling up because the Fed is now saying, hey, we're done with cuts now for now, and we're only going to forecast one cut in 2026. Will eventually have to reverse themselves and do jumbo cuts, and that's when Bitcoin is going to soar in January, probably into March or April. And I think you'll get that bear market rally, massive bear market rally. I'll turn bullish, short-term bullish at that time, and I see evidence of it, but I don't think it happens until January. Now, if we sell off and then we bounce, if we sell off and then we bounce and get another counter trend, as I think we will surrounding the holidays, again, I don't think you're going to bottom until you come down towards this major support area. The high end of it is 61,000. A 50% drop is 63,000. If we come down to this area like we did here, came down to just above it, you're looking at a 50% drop for Bitcoin, maybe more if you hit this level. But that's where I think Bitcoin will end up bottoming closer to a 50% drop. Maybe not quite reaching it, but you could reach it or move just beyond it. That's what Bitcoin's done in the past to kick off bear markets. Now we have a new level of resistance right here. I'll just flip through some of my charts so you can look at them, try to fit in a bunch. Here is the log scaling with Bitcoin. Again, 74,000 is a 41% drop. I think you're coming down here. And then I think you get this massive rally. The last one was 46%. So if we were to do that here, you'd move back up to levels where we're at right about now, or just a slightly higher than where we're at right now. But I think you'll move into the 90,000 range or above 100,000 for the right shoulder. And I think that will complete by March or April. I think you'll bottom here probably in January. And I think that's when the Fed will panic. I posted this chart. Everybody was laughing at me when I posted it near the top, but it's played out. I've been right. My mathematically based indicators were correct. Again, the Wyckoff model continues to play out. This is why I was predicting we get a rally here. Went up to the downward trend line with our linear scaling, and looks like we're now about to resume the sell-off and take out 80,000. And if this Wyckoff distribution model plays out, we should go down and test the 74,000 level and probably take it out and try to form the bullish divergence there and try to rebound. I think that will happen surrounding the holidays, the Christmas week and the New Year's week, and then I think we'll get more selling when we come back, when everybody comes back from after New Year's. I think we're forming this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. I'm predicting we take out 74,000 and end up going lower because Bitcoin tends to have pretty dramatic drops. The average around 50%, a little bit more, a little bit less, rounding, kicking off its bear market. So this is what I think is happening right now, and it's been playing out beautifully. I think you'll have a right shoulder, and I think it will be a lopsided pattern with a slanted neckline slanting lower. And again, when we rally back up, we'll likely rally to the 200 period or just above it into a Fibonacci retracement. I've marked the Fibonacci's here. If we go down to 63,000, this could change wherever we bottom out. Again, I've talked about how I believe that we have primary wave 1, primary wave 2. I believe that this is intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2, intermediate wave 3. We're just finishing now intermediate wave 4 and now starting intermediate wave 5 to complete crash wave 3, primary wave 3. Okay, and then you'll get the primary wave 4 likely back towards the trend line over the holidays, and then after the holidays, one more push down, and I think Bitcoin will bottom. And that's where I'm going to be looking to close my long positions. And again, I'm not recommending anybody buy or sell Bitcoin. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. In my strategy, this is where, again, I'm not interested in buying this 80,000 and, oh, here we go, this is the bottom. I'm interested in locking in my short position gains down here somewhere in my target range. I'll be looking to flip the trade, go long, and then I'll be looking to go short back up here somewhere and ride this thing down further. One of my accounts, I'm just holding Bitcoin. I'm going to ignore the short-term price fluctuations just like I did on the way up. I'm also a swing trader, so again, I'm going to be closing my swing trade position, going long, and then going back to short up here with my swing trade positions in other accounts. My strategy, not a recommendation you do that, not a recommendation to buy or sell. Just telling you, hey, I'm not interested in closing my shorts and going long here because this is nothing more than a counter trend and we're going lower. Would be interested in locking in gains down here somewhere and be interested in trying to find a long position in my trading range. And maybe we bottom higher than I think and closer to 74,000, 71, 72. But I think that, this is what is going to happen. I have the guts to tell you what I think. Very few people will do that. Most people predict things after they already happen. It's like a couple people are now saying, oh, now that we dropped 36%, oh, it's so obvious that we had a top. Johnny come latelys, and there are very few of them. Most people are still a bunch of perma bulls and still bullish on Bitcoin, leaving the hype and the hopium, the snake oil that all these people are selling them. This has been correct. This is going to be right. And again, Bitcoin has already confirmed a bear market in the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame. Bitcoin's never went and made new highs without first, when it's confirmed a bear market, without first going back to the 200-week moving average. So again, Bitcoin's going lower. The 200-week moving average is at currently 56,000. And again, you're likely going to take that 200-week moving average out eventually. So this is what I think is going on, and it has been playing out beautifully. Again, laughed at posting this chart, but yet, oh gee, it's been right. The herd's telling us, oh, the Fed, they just cut rates. The Fed just cut rates. This is so bullish, and they're starting QE. This is so bullish. And again, you're about to see the bottom drop out of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in a downtrend until proven otherwise. Do you see this? We're turning off of the trend line right here. Bars are still red, and when we pushed up to new highs, bars remained red right here, not buying into the fake, phony breakout. Bars have been consistently red all the way down. Bitcoin bottom is not in. Had some signals turn back to bullish in the counter trend, told you that might happen. Others remained bearish here, returning off of the ribbon, but yet short-term signals have turned back to bullish. Got these bottoming signals, told you we were going to get this rally. I was right about that, but I told you it was going to fail, and we're going to go back and take out 80,000. I tell you exactly what I think. Very few people will do that. People will, we'll have to wait and see, or in these crazy bullish predictions, there it is. I always tell you what I think, just like I told you over here. I told you this was a counter trend, and the final exit point was 116,000. Told you that at the time. About this counter trend and this counter trend now. Now, some signals have flipped back to bullish. I warned you that before the rally ever started, that if we got a bigger rally, we could see some signals flip back to bullish, but again, they're likely going to revert back to bearish. Their signals have remained bearish here with the ribbon. Here, signals are flipped back to bullish. They'll likely revert back to bearish. And I'll just flip through some charts here. Signals flipping back to bearish here. We're getting rejection at the orange line right here under the purple line. I talked about that. Again, some signals have remained bearish. Others have turned bullish that will have to revert back to bearish. Other signals have remained bearish and continue to not buy into the rally. Again, the rally stalling here at resistance. The tightening of the Bollinger Bands are telling you something's about to happen. When we had the tightening of the Bollinger Bands over here, we had a significant drop. The tightening of the Bollinger Bands means that we're either going to get a big move up or a big move down, and we're stalling at the trend line of resistance and signals are rolling over. It's likely we're going to get a big move down, again, towards the 74,000 low over here. Bollinger Bands tightened up over here, and we got a 29% sell-off with the Fed. When the Fed had their previous cut back in October. I wouldn't ignore this. We got bottoming signal here. Again, I told you it was going to be nothing more than a counter trend, just like over here. Counter trend, a counter trend rally. Now here, momentum is turning back to bearish, but the bars and the cloud are still blue. Again, you got to go lower to start moving towards the support zone to have some of these signals begin to flip back to bearish. Again, some signals have turned bullish, just like over here. You had it with the counter trend. You had it back over here with the counter trend. Whoops, right there. But you still went to new lows. Over here, counter trend still went to new lows. Counter trend still went to new lows. So again, I expect we're going to see this drop, taking out the support zone and dropping below 80,000 in the coming days ahead here as we move closer to Christmas. Next week, we're going to get the jobs report. Again, we could eventually see a negative number, Telling you it's coming. We're already seeing it with the private payrolls. The Fed is cutting again. This is not good. Means we're moving towards recession. Predicted the recession would either start this month or in January. I think I'll be proven correct, but we won't find that out until towards the end of 2026. We're going to get the CPI data next week as well. Inflation continue to rise and the economy continue to weaken. Concerns about stagflation. Next week, the yen carry trade will likely start to have, we'll start having evidence of it unwinding as the Bank of Japan 1 week from now raises rates. That will put further pressure on Bitcoin and the stock market. We'll have to sell assets to pay back loans. It's coming. I've talked about that at great length and detail. Bar still red here. Beautiful topping signal. Beautiful topping signal here. No bottoming signal here. We got one. The last one was just a counter trend rally. Again, you have this rising wedge. No bottoming signal in sight here. Nailed the bottom back in April. Nailed the top back over here in January. Nailed the top over here in October. You don't have a bottoming signal here. And I programmed this to look at the bigger picture. And usually you'll get a bottoming or topping signal when they form. We don't have one here. Meaning 80,000 is likely not the bottom. We're turning off the trend line. We're turning off of the purple line right here, just underneath it, but the trend line right here. And hang on, my trend line moved on me a little bit here. Again, you're likely going to go down, get 2 more legs down, and then you'll get this massive rally back up. The purple line, again, during the decline over here, it held as resistance. What's it doing right now? Well, we got rejection at it, slightly overthrew it, got rejection, under it here, under it here. Again, it continues to hold as resistance, the purple line. To get back above it and have it start rising like we did after the bottom in April in order to turn it around. Now, some signals have turned back to bullish short term. They're going to revert back to bearish. Others have still remained bearish, not buying into the rally. But we'll likely see them quickly turn back to bearish in the next few days. Here, getting warning signs that the signal might now flip. Again, likely just a counter trend rally, in my opinion. And again, back to short-term bullish right here, but looking very much like what we had over here and back over here just before the next leg down. The awesome oscillator in the daily time frame still green. Again, it's likely that we're going to see the signal revert back to bearish. Again, it's turned back to short-term bullish. Some of my signals have, but you're likely going to see something like what we had over here, going to revert back to bearish, and you're probably going to go negative and end up forming a divergence going into the 74,000 area. And then we'll see what happens with that divergence. Do we get a bottom surrounding that, or just a short-term bottom and another dump, as I think will happen in January? And again, here, we're likely going to get a larger divergence developing as we go down and hit 74,000, take out 80,000, getting rejection at the upper end of the cloud right here, stalling there. Again, a lot of my signals bearish, my swing trend signals. Others have turned back to bullish, but they're going to revert back to bearish. Again, no, we're going lower. The weekly charts are still bearish, telling us the sell-off isn't over yet. But again, you're likely going to form a larger divergence here intraday on Bitcoin. But look at that, a beautiful, beautiful red cloud all the way down here, except for this counter trend briefly right there at the final exit point.